Hey, I wasn't even originally going to make a video about this, but I decided to. I decided, you know what? I'm going to talk about it, and that's that. I remember when I was in high school, the one of the teachers that I had that was nice enough to understand to let me go to the restroom when I needed. See, I've dealt with irritable bowel for a very long time, and you never know when it's going to hit. And part of the symptoms of that with some people is fainting or blacking out. And I'm not going to tell who stated this, but with what I've been going through, you don't know what I'm going through. And if you don't state your judgment until you experience it. And usually those that state something wind up experiencing it. But I just want to state this to the person that stated. Obviously, you don't know the definition of blacking out. I mean, some of your comments I've agreed with, some I don't. But I'm not going to tell who stated this. But I mean, my mama has witnessed me black out, and some of the doctors they didn't even get it. They never did. I went to the doctor back when I had Cover Kids from Tin Care, and I back then, and I had test after test, hospital visit after hospital visit. I was sick all the time. I went through so many different various tests, blood work, and everything to the point where they did so many radiation tests on me to the point where it was non-stop. And I went through a lot. And I still, this morning as I was moving, and my legs were just shaking out from underneath me suddenly. My right leg, anyway. It was just not holding me up. And blood flow was obviously off. But this morning, I was literally blacking out throughout the day. And I would black out. It could be for a second. It could literally be for a couple of seconds. I was standing in front of the door, and as I was walking in, as I took a turn, I fell to the floor. And I don't know what your definition of blacking out is, but I've been right there with my mama, and I blacked out and fell to the ground. And we've had, EKGs done in the past when I had that good insurance. And they said, well, if it's not happening now, we can't really tell the results. My heart would palpitate all the time during those awakening symptom times. And I would go through all of that, and they would check for 10 dang years. 10 years. They checked me for various things. Blood work after blood work. It was thousands and thousands of dollars worth of work. Thankfully, the insurance covered at the time. And all we had was a $5 copay with Cover Kids at that time. And the doctors, they all said, well, if it doesn't happen here, there's really nothing we can do about it. That's all they would ever state. And I mean, they're not even really, they're like practitioners, but the experts that I went through, I went to, there was 6 different experts and 1 infectious disease expert and a couple of surgeons and several people and then they looked at me because the insurance was about to be dropped anyway. They looked at me like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? They were being a jerk, and they claimed they were going to do one final test, and they never did. He never did. And they never found out anything about it. We were all suspecting the gallbladder, and they were suspecting Crohn's, and they did find out I had irritable bowel, which that was obvious. But the thing is, a teacher of mine's, the principal, had someone in his family that had irritable bowel, and they would black out. And they would fall over or black out just out of nowhere. And I've always had, with the anxiety issue, when I would even practice drive or ride down the road, even the passenger side, I would black out and had that anxiety attack as I was driving or riding. And that's been a common issue of mine for a very, very long time. So until you experience it, don't tell me I don't know what the definition of blacking out is, because I know exactly what I'm going through. I agree with some things you've stated. I don't agree with other things you've stated, but I mean, everything's your opinion. But, I've dealt with it, and I know exactly what it feels like. I would walk through school, the classroom, and of course I had such anxiety and things, but I would walk through the hall and almost black out and fall over. Of course, everyone's thinking, oh, you didn't get enough rest, or you're just like really stressed, or you're just, you get too tired or too hot outside or whatever if I was outside. No, that wasn't it. I was up at Nana's and I walked up I said, I've got to go. And I was falling over, just to the ground. And I was just losing consciousness and blacking out as I was walking up the hill. No one ever found out what was going on. Ever. They said, well, it could be pancreatitis. Maybe it could be gallbladder. Oh, it could be just irritable bowel. They never found the answer. But I literally lost consciousness up the hill. Thankfully, someone was with me and was walking up there with me, and I got some water at the very end. But it was never found out what was causing it. I was I'm not going to say the name of the teacher, but I was in the teacher's classroom in Spanish class and I said, I've got to go. And I could feel myself blacking out, losing consciousness. And it's like I was leaving my body, but not at the same time. And all I could think of is, I've got to get to my mama. I've got to get to mama. And I called her to come pick me up. And I was blacking out and they said, are you okay? And when I was in the office, and I was like, no, I'm not. And sometimes I would run this 101 fever. I'd run 100 fever. I always ran fever. No one ever found out what was causing it. They never could find the infection. They never could find what was causing it. They never could find any issues with me. They just acted like, well, let's just drop it. Thankfully, some of them worked with me, in the office worked with me at times when I got to high school, but when I was going through that, they never believed it. A lot of times, the people that never believed it, they wound up, it balanced back out, and they went through exactly, well, I'm not getting into all of that, but things had a way of balancing themselves out. And the people that did not understand what I was going through wound up going through similar things, and it made them understand. But I wish that everyone out there knew. I know some of you do. Some of you explain the exact or similar symptoms, but I wish everyone out there knew what I was talking about, that didn't know. And I would get into these cold sweats earlier even, and I would just start feeling like I was blacking out. And it would just feel like a sudden loss of consciousness, and then all of a sudden, I had to sit down. I fell to the floor. My legs just fell off underneath me, and I just fell out for a moment. And when I was running through the hall at school, they were thinking, that one of the teachers, you got the crud? And I could still see it. I could still see the whole situation. I said, no, this is something else. And it was just, I would almost black out every day, hoping, Lord, please, no, Lord, please, no. And I was having to fight it. And sometimes I would fall over, but no one ever found out what. TennCare, or Cover Kids, thankfully paid for hundreds of thousands of dollars in the medical costs from going to the hospital 3 different times, missing exams 3 different times, and having blood work done so many different times. Felt like thousands of times having blood work done. They did blood work every single time. And when I went to have x-rays and scans and MRIs, or not MRIs, let's see, CT, CAT scans, all those things that go around you, the full scan thing where you're in that claustrophobic mode where some people get claustrophobic. I just kind of closed my eyes and sat there, but that thing where you go in there, it's like boom, 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 boom. I had so many tests done that every time I went in Walmart, the alarm would go off because of the radiation that I had gone through. So much radiation. And that's how much I had gone through. That's how much I had gone through all of that. And this person here, they said they've been dealing with that since they were, and now they're 35, since they're 15 or 16. And they said that, let's see, hot and cold, vision starts to go. Next thing I come around to the floor. She said the usual pattern of severe pain, and then she said that, and right now, earlier, I had intestinal cramps. My intestines were cramping. She'll start to sweat lots, and then go hot and cold, vision starts to go, and the next thing she knows, she's coming around on the floor, just falling on the floor, and getting up shaky, cold. And she said last time she actually hit her head on the sink because of it. She said she was lucky that her husband was home at that night. Last night she woke up severe pain and managed to pass something. Pain started, hadn't woke. She said she would black out. Some doctors told her, oh, it's IBS. Others said definitely not. And yet another says the pain that causes her to faint is not irritable bowel. And did she ever get help? Did she ever get answers? No. One doctor said, oh, you're fainting? Well, that's not irritable bowel. Well, when I was in school, I was told that was a symptom. Now you don't see blackouts on irritable bowel symptoms. That was one of the symptoms for me, blacking out. I remember it. They don't have blacking out as a symptom of it now, but that it was when I remember witnessing it, reading it, and I go through it, so I know it's a symptom. So does that other individual. Just because it's not listed, that was one of the symptoms, and it still is. It still is one of the symptoms. And without a doubt, that's one of the symptoms. And until those people out there that will state things like, apparently you don't know what blacking out or the definition of blacking out or losing consciousness is. Yeah, I do. I've done it many times. I was walking through and I would fall over in the school hallway. I would be blacking out in the office, losing consciousness for a second. It's like a rush to the head, then you lose over. And it happens sometimes for half a second, but sometimes long enough to make you fall to the floor. My mama's witnessed me fall to the floor many different times. And if any one of you know what that's all about or know anything about it, let me know. To all the kindness out there, all the kind comments, let me know. Just let me know. I know I've been to so many doctors, so many infectious disease experts, specialists. I've been to so many different individuals that got me nowhere, except the fact to learn that I had irritable bowel. Which the one doctor that I went to that was actually helpful and nice, the local doctor that's gone now, but he stated that's what they always wind up reverting to, saying you have when they don't know anything about it. I had a lot of rare things that came up with me as well. H. pylori, which Helicobacter pylori. I had which I had case of diverticulitis. I wound up having meningitis, it just came up out of nowhere, and I wound up having so many different things, and I went to the hospital over during school. But many times I would have these gallbladder-like attacks. But they never, ever, they did test after test. I had chest pains, I had, my lungs would itch and have problems. On my daddy's side of the family, they have, that lung issue called, it's a thing that causes the lungs to tickle and and it builds up in the lungs. It's sarcoidosis. I think they call it sarcoidosis, but like sarcoidosis or something like sarcoidosis. They have that, and I've had symptoms of that in the past, but I never was diagnosed with it. But I do have irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, and they never really, back then they didn't know anything about it that much. They just kind of started talking about it a little bit. Now it's all over TV. That and Crohn's. I matched every symptom of Crohn's disease, but the experts and everyone that looked at me were no help. And then they wouldn't even do that final test because the insurance wouldn't pay for it. And they just said, nope, you're good. You're fine. No, I wasn't. I wasn't fine. I was bleeding out of the bowels every day and having stomach problems. Still am, but having stomach problems today, but not the first thing. Fingers crossed, thankfully. But I went through that all the time. I blacked out since I was little. And until you know what I've gone through and what I go through, just stating facts. Until you know exactly what it is to go through that and what my feelings are, and that blackout feeling that others have witnessed me just fall down and lose consciousness or black out for a moment. I have no room for sarcastic comments. Until you experience it for yourself, you'll never know what I mean. Because I know exactly what I'm saying. I know that exactly what I'm saying is right. And that's how I feel. But, of course, only I can know. And those around me, like my parents who have witnessed it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Just wanted to give an update on giving an answer to this individual that stated that I didn't know what I was talking about. Yes, I do. Anyway, feel free to share with me if you go through similar things, if you know what I'm talking about. Leave your comments of kindness. Otherwise, they'll be blocked, banned, and removed below. And peace, much love. God bless everyone. I love you all.